Hello, guys. Okay, so I figured I'm going to do a solo, kind of catch you up over the last few months, talk a little bit about what some of my experiences that I had over the summer. I can't believe summer's almost over. It's so weird. It feels like literally, I always say it feels like this year's gone by fast, but this year is like beyond going by fast. I mean, the fact that we got here in Oregon in February, and then I started traveling right away. And then, those were short trips. And then the shows came up and I was gone. Like, I think I've been home here in our new house. I don't know. I want to say I've been here maybe a total of 8 days. It's crazy to me. And now, for those of you who don't know, I'm just going to go right into this, aren't I? For those of you who don't know, I'm booked out pretty far in advance. I mean, yes, I'm very lucky that everyone brings me back, but a lot of it's because we obviously know the show seasons are these dates. And so that kind of helps fill up the blanks. Going into fourth quarter, it starts to get really hairy. Like I'm looking now, we're doing the holiday installs, and then holiday installs go right into the winter show setups. It's crazy that one goes into the other. But enough about that. We will talk about this summer. So we got to Oregon in last February. We were in a guest house. We got our new house. We're in the house now. I don't know if I talked about it in the last podcast, but for those of you who know me, I'm like an insane person when it comes to living out of boxes and like just how like anal I am about unpacking and whatnot. I decided somewhere along the way, over the years, I've realized and decided I run moving into new houses or Airbnbs or hotel rooms like I run a store opening. It is so absurd when I think about how I did this. But we moved in and Dave drove the truck back. Dave flew back home to California, old home, and packed all our stuff from the container and drove it up. And he literally, the poor man, he drove like 10 hours. He drove almost straight here. And I was like, okay, pull the truck up and we'll start unloading things. Like the poor man never even got a break. I was like, so like one antsy to feel like we have a home, but also antsy because I'm impatient. And, there you have it. I'm impatient and I'm anal retentive. So those are not two great traits, but the rule when you do a store opening for me is the boxes don't come in the store. Meaning not when you're during your own receiving anthropology, there was a staging area. The boxes never hit the store. They went into the receiving area. The boxes were unpacked. The carts were loaded and the product went up onto the floor into their already set space. So much like a store opening, I set the furniture first. I'm listening to myself say this, how insane I sound. The furniture went in first, just like a store opening, the architecture. And then we handled like the decor. I'm not that crazy. I don't hang all the decor that night, but I do, everything does come out of the boxes. So the boxes got staged in the we have a little patio area. Boxes got staged there and I just unpacked each one. And let me tell you, if you have the energy, it really is the easiest way to do it because everything's open and everything, there's nothing in closets yet. So cabinets. So, basically I'm opening the boxes and taking them out and walking them right into the cabinets. It was great because I know way too many people that move into houses and those fucking boxes are still in there somewhere in a closet, or they're still in the guest room that no one's staying in yet. We'll just store it over there. And it's like that lives there for months. And I did not, when you move around a lot, you want to feel grounded and at home. So boxes make me feel not grounded at all. So no boxes in the house. So I had the house unpacked. I want to say the second day everything was put away, including my clothes. And let me tell you, and then we'll pass through Oregon, but I'm a clothes horse. I'm not going to lie. It's my background from Fred Siegel. I can't help it. And there's a lot of things, when I was buying for Burt's and we were buying apparel, you buy a lot of things you like. And, a lot, when it comes in, you buy the ones that you wanted and then ordering things online, whatever. So I didn't have my clothes we packed up our house in November and then went straight to Vegas and then did that job, came up here. So I don't think I have my clothes November, December, January, February. I didn't have my clothes until March. That's a long time to live without most of your closets. What I had was what I wear every day to the shows, like leggings, t-shirts. I had a couple outfits to wear as a quote buyer. And if we went out, but other than that, it was just the normal apparel Michelle wears every day. So all the apparel gets there, my shoes and my bags. One, I realized, wow, you have like way more bags than anybody should have. So I kind of edited that. But clothing wise, where we live here in Oregon is super rural. Like there's farms around me. There's a ton of wineries, which are amazing. But by far and large, it's super rural. So as I'm pulling things out, dresses, sweaters from Farm Rio, like shit I'm never going to wear here. And it also felt like Christmas because it was like, oh my gosh, I forgot I had this. But by far and large, I have clothing that I love that I have nowhere to wear now. Because here, yes, it's rural, but there's not a lot of, not nightlife, but there's not a lot of things that I go and do. And when I really think about it, even at home, there was really nothing. I went and did a lot. I did spend a lot more time in the fashion district and I did spend a lot more time at shows, but even then I was packing stuff. So why I have all this stuff is crazy. So that's like, my moment of clarity of like, stop shopping and PS, like you don't need all those dresses and bags and whatnot. But anyway, I digress. So we're in the house now, and I came back. I did a stint in California and visited all my retailers, and then the show season started. And this year, I was lucky enough to have been added or to add 180 degrees to my roster, which is huge. It's a line that I absolutely love. When I used to do 180s when it was in Stephen Young's showroom itself. So to give you a little background, Stephen Young has a showroom in Los Angeles. I think it's like 70,000 square feet. And then now he has Las Vegas. In the Los Angeles showroom, Glitterville and 180 degrees were both resided within the Stephen Young showroom, along with Jellycat and all the other lines. And the showroom was like basically a U shape. So Glitterville and 180 had two very large sections. So because they were within the Stephen Young showroom, I would do 180 there. The boys would come in, they'd do Glittervilles. Sometimes they'd do touch up some stuff in 180, but by far and large, I was doing 180 then. Fast forward to we're opening Stephen Young in Las Vegas. And at that point, 180 is planned to open in Las Vegas as well. So they did not think they were going to be able to have 4 sets of samples. So when these showrooms get their samples, the manufacturer has to kick out samples for Dallas, for Atlanta, for Las Vegas, for California, however many showrooms they have. And 180 degrees did not think that they could have samples in both Las Vegas and California. So they packed up every single item from the California Stephen Young location. Those showrooms closed, Stephen downsized, and everything was shipped to Las Vegas. Well, for whatever reason, the lease process did not get signed until, they just opened the showroom in January. So the lease didn't get signed until I want to say probably late last year. And And then 180 opened their own showroom. So it is freestanding 180 and a freestanding Glitterville showroom that Stephen Young still reps, but the showrooms themselves are managed and paid for by 180 and Glitterville. So I was hired on as a Glitterville or as a 180 degree merchandiser. Stephen Young is separate now as far as my workload. So I was lucky enough to have been reintroduced to Brian and Kathy at 180. We talked everything out. I came on board as their merchandiser and designer for Atlanta and for Las Vegas. Atlanta was the first stop. I was in Atlanta for 3.5 weeks. I want to say 10 or 12 days was 180 degrees, which I was there to set up spring and Easter. And at the same time, I hit most of the everyday spaces because I had good momentum going. And then I did a little bit of holiday. I really wasn't there for holiday. And then I also had Art Flow Trading, which Art Flow Trading went from being on the 16th floor on the holiday, 16th floor in the building B. No, building 1. Sorry. So they went from that space and a floor that had lost a lot of people. Most of the stuff on that floor is holiday. I don't know, to be honest, why. I'm not sure why they were on that floor in the beginning. They're not holiday. They are beautiful shells and ceramics and very organic feeling. It's not holiday at all. So they were like this. They had a lot of traffic, but they were this anomaly that was up on a holiday floor. So Atlanta redid their garden floor. Beautifully redone. It's light and bright. If you have been there before, you know it was like super dark and there's not really any walls down there. It's very much an open floor plan. And the floors, I think the floors used to be like pavers. The whole space felt really dark. Well, now it's bright and light. So I'm brought back in. I'm very grateful for a lot of these lines that bring me in that I do the design of the showroom and then I do the merchandising. I decide what the fixtures are. Art Flow Trading is one of these lines that I've been lucky enough. I've been with them for, I want to say it's almost 8 or 9 years now. I designed their first showroom when they came to Los Angeles, to the LA Mart. And then I designed their space that they opened in Atlanta. I designed their temporary spaces that now they've kind of duplicated in multiple places, multiple temporary booths. And so now I get the chance to redesign a brand new space. It's bigger. It's basically a big white box, which is fantastic. I'm reusing a lot of the things they have because a lot of those props are great. I was able to go find them new tables, new props. Dave was in the budget, so Dave came out. My second half of my time in Atlanta, which was great to have Dave there. You all know he does a lot of the construction for me. And when you're gone this long, it's so nice to know that when you're looking at your calendar, okay, that my next job, Dave's coming in and I'm not by myself, because it's super lonely doing these jobs most of the time, because most of you guys don't know, like, I do multiple jobs in a building, but most of these showrooms, when it comes time to redo the showrooms for the showroom people, usually it doesn't happen until like maybe a week or 2 weeks before the show starts. A lot of things are done for the showrooms that have year-round managers in them. Little things are done here and there, but by far and large, the big teams for GANs, for Fine Line, for like all these big, most of them come in and all the really heavy lifting is done the week prior to the show, 2 weeks prior to the show. I'm there like a month before the show. So I'm 9 times out of 10, the only person on the floor, the only person, on sometimes in parts of the whole entire building. It's super weird. It's also very lonely. So knowing Dave is coming into town, it's great. I was lucky enough to have the showroom manager for Atlanta work with me, Lori. She is amazing. It's always, when you go into any of these jobs and when you, especially a brand new one, and the showroom managers take a lot of pride in their showrooms. And in between merchandisers coming in and redoing the whole thing, the showroom managers are doing the displays and tweaking things. And if something new comes in, they're interjecting new products. And so they take a lot of pride in what they do. What happens sometimes is when you come in and you're a new person, it's challenging because you're kind of stepping on someone's toes. Like they know someone's coming to do it, but they've been doing it. And because they take pride in it and they really take ownership, there's a little bit of, sometimes there's friction. There wasn't any friction at all. It was so amazing. I couldn't have asked for a better first time experience doing this showroom. Like it really, truly was, I say dreamy. I mean, it really, truly was dreamy. So wrapped up 180. Dave flew in. I had a chance to work with my husband for a week. We both got to fly home from Atlanta together. It was great. I was only home for 4 days. 4 days. So we came home. It's enough time to get unpacked, get reacclimated with the time difference, hang out with your dogs, maybe do a workout class. But you are always in the back of your head. You're kind of on a countdown. Like, I know I have to leave in 2 days. I know I have to leave in 1 day. And, you're now repacking and whatnot. So we had 4th of July here, and Dave and I got in the car the morning after 4th of July and drove halfway to Vegas. We drove to Reno first. Those of you who follow MC Design Collaborations Instagram, we stayed in the craziest hotel. Reno doesn't have a ton of like Las Vegas style resorts. It's not the super high end where these beautiful Fontainebleau or beautiful Wynn type restaurants. It's I don't even know how to explain it, but for those of you who saw, like, I found so much enjoyment in walking around this crazy ass place with all these people and like the decor. Oh my God. It was like old school Vegas on the cheap. That's the only thing like these fountains they had, the one I filmed was, it was so entertaining that I was filming and I was told by several people we should have a travel show just because of how we were doing it. But that made it kind of fun, to go, that's our middle place. Then we drove from Reno to Vegas the next day. We had one afternoon, meaning the afternoon we drove in to stop off at the job site, go to Trader Joe's, load up on our food, go home, unpack, because I'm that crazy person. I had to unpack. And then the next morning we were on jobs. And Dave was there for a week with me, and then he had to go. And then I was by myself again. And again, like, I'm there 3 weeks before everyone else gets there. So Dave was there with me. It was great. I worked on 180 at that point. CJ, Stephen Young's, the manager for 180 was there. It was great to be able to work with her. Also, I've worked with her before. That was an amazing experience as well. Again, like, I couldn't have asked for a better situation than walking into 180 with the product that I love. It was a dreamy, dreamy situation. So I did that, changed gears, transitioned into Stephen Young and sales producers. And now people are starting to come in the building. The 11th floor is Stephen Young, Fine Lines, and it sounds like Hina is supposed to be up there as well. So there's not as many people up on 11th floor. It's still being developed. The 10th floor, though, is where it's almost a full floor. So just got Habits there, Roadrunners, sales producers, Kina. So it's great when all these people start to come in to town, because there's, like, as us as merchandisers, most of the time we're all in the same, we're all doing the same shows and showroom setups. And most of us are somewhat near each other on the floors. And it is always like community and family to me when everybody comes in. Like, it's so great to see each other every 6 months and catch up on what each other are doing. And it really is family. And because I don't do the shows as much anymore, I don't see as many of the reps as that I used to. So my little window of socialization gets smaller now. But it was fantastic having the Kina team. Fabian, who I worked with as a gallery, heads up Kina's display and design and merchandising now. He came out, he brought in Susan, who I've interviewed. Susan and I worked on the Transpac job together. He brought Susan in. Susan was also in Atlanta the same time I was, which was so amazing to have a friend in Atlanta to go upstairs. Because when you work on these jobs, also, I'm going to back up a little bit. When you work on these jobs, you are often by yourself. You are often, you don't have somebody to bounce things off of. And we all, just like you guys, we all as merchandisers will run into a position or a situation where you're like, I just don't know what to do. Or you've been looking at it way too long and you can't see past it anymore. It's like, those are the times that you need to walk away. But sometimes when you come back the next day, it's still is baffling. And it's always great to have a friend that you merchandise with, that you know well, and like, can you please look at this for me? Like, please, because I don't know what is happening here. And it's amazing to have somebody with clear eyes look at stuff that you're doing, because they're able to spot it right away. Like, oh, do this X, Y, and Z. And it's like, it's always this amazing synchronicity when you have another merchandiser there that you both know each other's style very well, and you both work under the same style of merchandising. So Susan, it was great to have Susan in Atlanta, because it was like, can you please come down and look at this? And so Susan was out for Kina, and Eric, who we worked with together, he came out to work for Fabian. Fabian's background, Fabian was of Romans. Any of you who heard the podcast before with him on it, he was with IKEA. Then he was one of the buyers and merchandisers for Romans. Now he's with Kina, but Eric is somebody he brought in that was also from the IKEA family. He worked with Fabian at Romans. I was able to pull him in 1 year for me for setting up Bristol Farms holiday decor. So I worked with him as well. He is the most fabulous, and I say that, fabulous man, and he's so incredibly talented. So he is out as well. And it was kind of like a homecoming. It was so great to have these people on like just this next showroom. Like, I feel like I bugged them because I was always in there, like, because you really start to want to be around people. And when it's people that you love, I tend to gravitate towards them. So I was like always in their showroom. I'm sure it's like, okay, enough. Go back to your space, Michelle. But one night I decided, let's have everybody over for dinner. So Fabian, David had already gone home by this point. Fabian, Sarah, Susan, and Eric and I all came to my apartment in Las Vegas, and we all had dinner together, and there was a lot of wine. And after dinner, it was like, okay, we're turning on the microphone. And I have to look at my sketch. I think it's already going to be, I think you guys will have already heard this. You're actually, the episode that was prior to this one, just a few days ago, is the one that we recorded post dinner. And it was so much fun. I've never done, and, I don't really do live interviews. So it was fun to both whip out the microphone and start recording, as well as to have three people that I know very well. You can hear it when we're talking to each other. You can hear the familiarity, but to be able to interview three very strong merchandisers and all of us that come to the table with our background was so much fun. And it was an experience that I have never had when I've been in Las Vegas or anywhere of having time after the job site and doing something in your apartment, feeding people, having dinner together, sharing a meal. Like that's something I rarely do it here at my house when I'm off. Like, so to do it on a job, it was just amazing. Like, I was so grateful for that time. So that we wrapped up Vegas. For the first time in probably the last, I want to say like 10 years, I did not stay to do the show. I'm only buying right now for Rock Paradise. I did Rock Paradise's appointments. I did it the day before the show opened. So I didn't even see Temps. And I'm kind of bummed about that, because Temps is always my favorite. But I hit all my showrooms that I usually shop in. I got them their buying situation. I got their holiday decided on, and I talked a little bit about this. I did a TikTok video. I often will concept someone's holiday as I'm walking the show, and that's why I always tell everyone walk the show for at least a day if you can. 2 days is even better. You'll start to see what trends are happening. You'll start to see a repeat of something that you realize that that's obviously what's trending, but also it gives you a good idea, right? Kind of like really seeing what everyone's offering, especially if it's something like mushrooms are so big or, gnomes were so big, and they're in every single price point under the sun from very expensive to inexpensive. And it's a lot easier if you kind of navigate through all that before you start leaving paper. This time I did not have that luxury, so I kind of had to do it on the fly. And for Rock Paradise for their Christmas, it's a crystal store. It is metaphysical. We have a witchy section. We have an astrology section. There's not Santa. There's no traditional red, green, silver. There isn't snowmen. There isn't any of that. So holiday has to look very different, and it has to feel like that store is. So I concepted them on the fly. A lot of it came from the vibe from Creative Co-op. I did mushrooms last year or the year before. This will be the third year doing mushrooms. The first year it was very organic feeling. It sold phenomenally. Second year, it was like, let's make it more fun and let's make it a little younger and brighter. So we went the disco ball route, disco planters, disco mushrooms, ornaments that went back to it. It fucking bombed. And it was, as a buyer, you have to take risks and you have to try new things. You can't keep running the same thing into the ground. Yeah, you can, but I have never believed in that. I've always believed in the next year needs to look different than, because your customers are constantly coming to you every year in, year out. I would like it to look different. So that year it was younger, it was brighter, it was not the traditional mushrooms. And I thought for sure with all of the rock hippie dippy thing, like the disco mushroom would do well. It didn't. So this year, I wasn't sure if I was going to go back to mushrooms. They're still selling. They're going to be the new gnome to me. I know after this holiday, it's going to be done. But Creative Co-op really, the folding paper ornaments and folding paper trees, Be Home brought them in a few years ago, and they are stunning. And Creative Co-op does them now, and I think Zodax does them, and they're stunning, and they're these beautiful vegetable tones. And so Walking Creative, they've got these incredible big hanging philodendron plants that are the big ball. They have other hanging greens, and they have the mushrooms in both ways, brights as well as very organic feeling. And I decided that our Rock Paradise's holiday is going to look like a terrarium, greens and natural. There will be an element of light, which will most likely be pendant lights in the window, not your typical Christmas lights, but there needs to be that light factor, and mushrooms. And we did paper mushrooms from Creative, mushroom ornaments from Creative. I have both bright mushrooms because I did bright felt mushroom stockings, Christmas stockings from, I'm not sure what line it was. It was in Gifts of Nature, but they were fun and campy, and not campy, kind of hippie. It felt like the store. So we did bright mushrooms back to that. And then I did neutrals and beautiful, beautiful vegetable tones. And the other thing I decided I was going to do was we were going to do tabletop. And I've never done tabletop in Rock Paradise. It's always been very gift driven. But the thing is, Simona, Jason's wife, who owns Rock Paradise, the product line, Jason, the husband, owns the gift store. Simona has beautiful sliced agate cheese plates and beautiful agate and crystal bottle openers and spreaders, and there's agate slice coasters. So there is an element of tabletop that's there that has consistently gotten lost within the store. You just can't you can, but putting a big jar of bottle openers or a big jar of spreaders mixed in with all this other stuff, it gets lost, and it hasn't had the sell through that it needs. And it's one of those things that is in the store. And I've always believed, like, if you have something and you are not getting sell through, does it make sense there? Is it getting lost with everything else? Is there a story around it? I mean, if you have a general store and more of a general store where, like Drew's, where it's colored out, it's not really lifestyle. Rock Paradise is lifestyle. So things need a lifestyle feeling or element to tell the story of what these items are. So I decided you're going to hear the girls bark because the man's here taking the water numbers. But the idea of creating tabletop along with this mushroom vibe. So the tables are going to be kind of like a terrarium feel. I'm going to do dishes with moss on them and then do some of the ornaments on the moss. And then we will have the cheese spreaders and the bottle openers. I'm doing glassware back, so we have something to show with the coasters. I'm doing Simona's big crystal point bowls, which we'll do ornaments in. And mixed in with that, as with everything at Rock Paradise, there are crystals. So I can do big tablescapes and show crystals down the middle with succulents and greens, and put things under domes, and a very terrarium feel, organic, natural, that will be their holiday. And to go back to it, to continue that storytelling for their holiday, I did cookbooks, which we have never done. We do phenomenal with books and tarot cards. We have not done cookbooks. And I'm going to say this in complete honesty. I said it before, you have to take risks as a buyer and you have to test things out. You'll never know if you don't know. We had Rock Paradise, to back up a little bit, had opened. Jason bought a building down the street that was intended to be an intention center. So we were going to have classes and bring in readers and do sound baths, and the other half of it was going to be storage because Jason they bring their own crystals in. And when they arrive from Brazil, it's like containers and containers. So it needs a lot of space. We got the whole intention center designed. I got yoga fixtures, merchandise, product, everything you need for these events. And it never happened. So we've been sitting on poofs and yoga mats and straps and blankets. So one of the decisions I said, if we have this, we might as well bring them into the store. We own the inventory already and try and sell them. And to do so, again, you can't just drop a bunch of yoga props in there without having other things to storytell back with it to create add-on sales. So we brought in some yoga decks, some yoga books, and some water balls and whatnot. And the sell-through has not been great. I don't know if it's the space, so I moved it last week because I have a rule of not thinking it's not doing well if you have it moved around a couple times. So I moved it to another location. So it'll be interesting to see the sell-through. People may not, but to me, yoga, crystals, that whole lifestyle all kind of work together, but people may not be going in there for that step, but I had to try. So we'll see how that goes. That's the same philosophy with the dining. It's holiday, it's gift giving time. We'll see. There's enough of it to tell a story. It's not going to get lost. The cookbooks are vegan. So I really truly believe they're going to sell. We have, what's the store called? Across the street is a huge vegan restaurant that is really well known because they make veganese. I can't remember the name for the life of me, but we have a vegan restaurant right across the street. They also sell crystals. They also sell lifestyle things. So I believe in my heart of hearts that the tabletop and the vegan cookbooks will sell. So that was my one day at the gift show, was to do that, get it kind of dialed in. And then I drove to California, where I then hit Rock Paradise. Was the only store. I was supposed to go to all of my other stores, but to be honest, after being gone that long, all I wanted to do was go home. And as it was, I had to go home, and I would be leaving a few days later because I was going to Chicago, which I'll tell you about that next. So I came in, I did Rock opened a space in the Gore Antique Market. So I went in and zhuzhed that up, and then I hit the store. I was at the store for 2 days and got some stuff shifted around. It gave me a good idea what was selling, what wasn't, what our inventories looked like where I wanted to move things for my next big shifts. That trip was not about shifting anything at all. It was really more of like where are we at? Because I don't get reports from them. I wish I did, but I don't. But so I really have to rely on either Zoom calls or going in person. And to me, I need to touch it and feel it and see it. So I had a chance to kind of reinvent a couple important tabletops that are focal, and then kind of run a list and then make a plan for what we're going to do when I come out at the holidays. And then I drove home, and I was here for a lovely 3 days with my family. I had a chance to really unpack all my things because my trip to Chicago was only 2 nights. So it wasn't as daunting knowing I was not going to be leaving for a month. I was only going for 2 nights. So I got to unpack my car of all the crap I've been driving around with, from living in Las Vegas for a month and a half. I got to kind of relax and sleep in my own bed for a couple nights. And again, knowing I had a trip coming around, but it was only 2 nights. So it was a lot less daunting. Like I said, I know I'm not going to be gone. So I flew to Chicago. I was the opening keynote speaker for the Garden Center show. So it's a lawn and garden magazine. And Gift Shop Magazine, that are partners, they're co-running the show with the existing brand that runs the Garden Center show. And I was lucky enough to be the keynote opening speaker. So before the show opened, 200 and something people joined me as I talked about merchandising and storytelling. This industry, we know the good ones. We know the people that, do these insane displays, Rogers Gardens, Magnolia, Rolling Greens, who else? Terrain. Those are the top merchandising, storytelling stores that are garden stores in the country. And then there's other amazing stores, Patina and other people that do gifts and garden. But by far and large, garden stores, Ace Hardware, those kind of stores, they have some storytelling, but it's not at the level that the gift industry is. So I was lucky enough to be brought in. I talked about storytelling through merchandising and a lot of the concepts this industry has never done or known or even knew about. So it was so much fun to talk to a group of people and watch their faces. Because I've spoken to people before, and you see people, you see when they kind of zone out. I spoke at the H&H show at the beginning of the year, and it was a handmade show where there was a lot of knitters. And then the people, I guess when you can knit and listen, but when people start picking up knitting and start knitting in the middle of your speech or talking points or whatever your presentation, it's a weird feeling, not going to lie. Okay, I guess you're not paying. I felt like how I guess teachers feel excuse me, hello, can you please pay attention? But obviously you can't say that. So this group of people were so engaged and all taking notes and taking pictures of the slides, because I will have my talking point and then I have a lot of slides to back it up as I'm talking to them about the pictures that I'm showing and what I'm talking about and how it relates back to the storytelling and whatnot. And it was just amazing. And after, to have people stay and ask questions, it is always, I think when you give a presentation, is always what you want. And presenting is still very new to me, and I really love it. I'm nervous like there is no tomorrow. Like, I was fine that morning until I walked in, the AV guy, we were going through a sound check, and he's like, "Oh, like you got like 200 and something people." And all of a sudden it was like, "What? Like how many people?" Like, I was not prepared for that. Like H&H had a lot, and that was 100 something people. 200 something people is a lot. I mean, when you only talked a handful of times publicly, and I will say, it's such a rush. It's so much fun. It's so gratifying. And again, when people stop and ask you questions and stay and want us to ask you more questions privately after, it was just, I don't even know. I'm so grateful for that whole experience. It was just so incredible. And then later that afternoon, I gave an educational class. So I think that one had 100 something people in it. And I basically put together a display on stage, and I took them through the same points I had talked earlier about. I didn't know if it was going to be the same people or not. And it was. It's a really small show. So all these buyers had a chance to step away from the floor and come into these education. I think most of the educational presentations had really full groups. And that was kind of the great thing about not having such a massive show where the reps or the buyers are rushed because they're trying to see everything they can. And it's very challenging in the big gift shows to stop what you're doing, go search out where the class is or the keynote speeches. So it was like the perfect storm. So it was great. I think every educator had over 100 people in each presentation. So I got to do the whole thing live, and I ordered in architecture, and the show brought in tables. I sent them links of things that I wanted. And then I shopped every website that was showing at that show. And I curated a display much the same way I do when I go buying for other people. And it was vegetables and mushrooms were the big ones. And it was such a great experience. Like, my hope is really that I do this for the gift industry. I find it super weird that I've been doing it for a handmade show and for a garden show, and I haven't done it for the gift industry, because I feel like this is all stuff that you guys would like to hear and see. And until it does happen, I'm probably going to do a webinar and be able to go through this with you, just as I did with all these other people. But ideally, it's something that's at the gift show when you all are there anyway, and where everybody can like sit there at the same time and go through an hour presentation and then go hit the gift floors and go buy. So, if you know anybody, put my name out. So that was Chicago. I flew home from Chicago, and I've been home from Chicago now it's a week today. I came home last Wednesday, and I, for the first time, am able to be at our new house I'm here for 2 weeks, and I'm going to hit Massané at the end of next week, at the end of the month. But to be in one place for more than 2 weeks in our new home and be able to kind of, I don't know, nest, I guess, is that what you call it? I've been buying plants. I've had a chance to go to Pilates classes. We went to an amazing show at this venue called the Brit that's here in Jacksonville. It is an open theater that is very much like the Greek theater. It's open. It's up against the mountains with pine trees. And it is a very, very, very small venue. And a lot of artists, I guess, when they are playing Portland or they're on their way to Seattle, will stop here because they love this venue so much. So over the summer, they've had Willie Nelson. They have had Ziggy Marley. They've had Jason Moran, like, I don't even know how to say his last name, but they've had these insane bands in this tiny location. And I had a chance to go see the Dead South, who's a band. I don't even know who they were, but it was such a great experience to sit outside and, very much like the Hollywood Bowl, pack a picnic, sit in the grass, listen to music. I'm with my friends. My best friend, Elisa, and her husband were with us. So it felt like having a life. It's feeling like having a life right now. And I am here for it 100%. For somebody that's a total recluse and doesn't go out very much, all of a sudden, all I want to do is go out tonight. Actually, we're going to another event. Our friend Belita the thing I love about Jacksonville, Oregon, we're in Medford. We're 20 minutes away. We couldn't find a place in Jacksonville. There's only 3,000 residents. So the housing is very scarce, but it is almost all historical houses. Downtown, or Jacksonville itself, is a historical town. It is one of the oldest towns in the country. Like, the graveyard is my favorite thing to walk through because all the gravestones are from the 1800s. Downtown Jacksonville is all the original facades. Most of them have the dating on the outside from the 1800s. It's just an incredibly inspiring place to be. And it's one of those, like, when you go on vacation, you're like, I wish I lived here. I love this so much. It's like, to be able to live near this and go to events. My Pilates studio is in an old cottage, and it's magical. And I don't know, it's been to be able to be here and enjoy this. So tonight is our friend Belita has another historical home. It is an Airbnb. It is also her massage studio, and she has something called Third Thursdays, and it's only during the summer. All these things only happen during the summer because if you live in anywhere that has snow, I'm just learning this. People just don't go outside when it's cold. So all, like, spring and summer come, and it's awesome. There's all these amazing events and things to do, and they're all outside based. So it is a event that is in her patio. It's the third Thursday of every month. It is wine from the wine area because this is the winery area. There's wine from the local winery. There's a food truck. There is musicians, and all of the money raised is going to is it elderly pets? I don't mean that, mature pets. I don't even why senior pets. So I love that we're doing something that the money's going back to, you all know I have older dogs, like, something that you love, that I'm involved in the community. And at the same time, we're meeting so many people from the community. Matt from Fine Lines lives in Jacksonville with his husband, Antonio. They will most likely be there, but it's all of a sudden, like, I feel like we have a life, that we have, like, community. We have, I feel like I am finally able to exhale and live life a little bit. And, I'm not rushing off to jobs because I don't have any local jobs here. So now that I'm here, it's, I'm going to have a chance to do things, but to have the ability to slow down enough to go and do some of these things, I am so excited for. The other big thing I'm starting to do, which I can't wait for you guys to see, MC Design Academy, I created a couple years ago with my SBA loan. I was throwing all of it at it, filming and having it edited. And obviously the funds ran out. MC Design Academy is there. We're still going forward with it, but I've had to dial back and figure out how to do the filming and do all of this as a one-man show. So I'm learning with different ways of how I'm going to do this, how do I mic myself up? It's all the things any young creator figures out very easily. But when it's just me, Dave's going to help me a little bit, but by far and large, like, I'm going to have to learn how to do all this filming and how to mic myself up and how to get good shots and lighting and whatnot. So we can continue doing these classes. So the next film that's going to be uploaded that I'm working on is a collaboration. I talked about this a little bit on stories. I'm collabing with Christine from Chocolate and Steel. I am super excited. She has sent me a box of jewelry, and it's earrings and necklaces. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create 2 different jewelry displays with her products. And it's going to be easy things that all of you guys can use that will hopefully give you new ideas on how to show jewelry in a jewelry case. And at the same time, getting Christine's merchandise out in front of all of you guys, because it's a phenomenal line. I absolutely love it. And I think that this is going to be a perfect partnership for the first collaboration. So I actually have time now that I can do these filming and focus on this stuff. Because I'll be honest, it's hard to kind of juggle everything that's gone on. Update on Show Me Your Stores. I'll admit I have photos that I still need to go through. My fear is, though, some of the questions that were asked, things obviously have changed because it's been 2.5 months. I can only say, please be patient. I want to do Show Me My Stores. I want it to be a continued thing, but it is something that I have to do on my free time. It's something that does take time. And it's something that I want to make sure I have enough time to, because the deal is you send me a photo, you tell me what the challenge is. If it's a window, it's a floor plan, it's product assortment, whatever it is, you send it to me. I can take a look at it and then I'll do a detailed TikTok video on it. I would do Reels. Reels aren't long enough. TikTok allows 10 minutes. So I know TikTok's one of those dirty words everyone is not loving, but TikTok really, as a platform to be able to show educational, it's a really great place to do it because I can go in and out of different slides. I don't have that capability with Reels that I know of. It is longer formatted than Reels, and it's a whole other audience for me. So I'm going to go back to be doing Show Me Your Stores. And again, it's all done on my free time. So soon as my schedule starts to ramp up, it's going to start to get challenging again. But I can just say, please send them in. I will do my best to show them. I really want to. It's free advice from me. And the best part is there's a second private Zoom call between you and I that we're going through any questions that you have that I've covered, or if you've already put things into motion, I can go through. You can show me what you've done. It is your 10 minutes free with me to go through whatever the challenges that you had. So I hope that, I apologize if I haven't shown your things yet. I apologize that it's taken longer, but please bear with me that it is something, again, that is done for free. It's done on my time that I have in between paying jobs that help pay for my time to be able to do that. So that's the update with that. And as for going forward, you guys are all going into your fourth quarter setups. I am as well. Bristol Farms is my biggest client. We do all the decor for their 14 locations. And when I say they go out, it is a specialty grocery store. Let's get that straight. They have incredible foods, incredible pre-made, incredible fish and meat counter and produce. I mean, it is one of the top specialty grocers in the country. And I'm lucky enough to have their 14 locations. And when I say they do holiday unlike any other grocery store, let alone retailer. I know Whole Foods will put up their laser cut cardboard, cute trees, and they do Christmas lights across. For Bristol, from the front of the store to the back of the store, we'll do long runs of lit garland with decor. I was hired years ago to design their decor, and the VP of marketing at that point had told me the food needs to be the star of the show. So their decor is not loud. It's not, in your face. It is a subtle nod to the holiday where the food is really the star of the show. So it's wooden spoons that are tied together with red burlap and gingerbread men. And it's there. When I say it is loaded garland, it is loaded. It's so beautiful. So there's garland all the way around the exterior of the store. And there is lit garland on every single end cap on the front and every single end cap on the back, along with the decor. And every single register has a wreath with the decor. There's a Christmas tree. I mean, it is done up. So we start this year they decided to go earlier. We have done this once for them, and then they went back to the other dates. So I'm not sure. We pushed the dates up again. We will start installing holiday for Bristol Farms starting October 21st. Yes, that seems very early. And because in your own stores, for those of you who put up holiday before Thanksgiving, you get, oh my God, is it Christmas already? Picture putting it up before Halloween. Like, there is a lot of pushback. But as we all know, there's pushback, but people start buying it because they know it's going to be sold out by the time, everyone thinks they're supposed to be buying it. They are doing it also to not only capitalize on getting the sell-through, longer sell-through, but they do a huge pre-made food menu. So smoked turkeys, cooked turkeys, raw turkeys, lamb legs, like you name it, every single side there's an offer, but that is a huge thing. So they start rolling that out and taking pre-orders for their holiday meals as soon as we start. And you all know, it's everything from the whole store when you walk in, the smells of baking, the lit garland. It's everything minus the Christmas carols, but that gets you into a mood. It gets your customers in a mood. And yes, you're going to have the people like, oh my God, Christmas already. But the people that love it and buy are way outweighing the people who are complaining about it. And guess what? Half the people that are complaining about it end up leaving with something anyway, whether they like it or not. I mean, it always happens. But if you guys, when you hear this, if it gives you any spur to decorate, even if you start just a little bit and you kind of roll out like a handful of stuff and then roll it out a little bit more, I highly suggest it because it does get people in the mood. It does give you a jump on a full sell through before it has to go on sale and before Hobby Lobby puts their shit on sale. It's like, that's the reality now, is that Hobby Lobby's already got their Christmas in. It is August 15th that I'm recording this right now. And Hobby Lobby has all of their Christmas in, and they knock it down to 40% off, next month. And then it goes to 50% off the month after. So by the time you are ready to decorate your house, they are already out of holiday and they are already bringing in whatever the next is. So even if you're bringing some of it, it really does give you a leg up on sell-through time. So if that's anything. So other than that, I am here for a while. I'm recording so many amazing interviews. Like, I can't wait for some of these interviews that I've been recording for you to hear them. They will all be rolling out in October. All the things I'm recording this week all will roll out in October. And then I will probably take a break again because I can't seem to do two things at once. I can't do setup and my setups start. I'm back in Atlanta for 180 the Sunday after Thanksgiving, and I'll be there for 3 weeks. I'll come home for holiday. I'll have a chance to be in Oregon. Hopefully it snows. I'll have a cold, hopefully white Christmas, which I've never had. I'm in a house that has vaulted ceilings. And if you've followed my Instagram or you've seen my past Christmases, I go for super tall. We had 8-foot ceilings and I was buying like 10-foot trees, and Dave was having to like chop them down. And it was like the Christmas Vacation movie where the whole tree just explodes and it's so big. That is what makes me so happy. I love and live for Christmas. I know I set it up, and by the time I get to my own house, I'm super burned out on it, but I'm so excited because I love Christmas in my house. So we have vaulted ceilings. So I get to get a super tall tree. I get to put out all of my family's ornaments. Last year we were in the Airbnb and we did not have any of our own old ornaments. It's all my grandmother's ornaments. It's all Dave's grandmother's ornaments. We have a fireplace. So I'm so excited to go into this next leg, like knowing what I'm coming home to after I get back from 180. And I'm back home for Christmas, and then I head out for Vegas for the entire month of January, where we do it all over again. So that is the update on the summer. That is what's happening. That is what I've been working on. let me know. Please send me email or DMs on if you would like me to do the webinar. My plan is to do one. So we're trying to figure out how many people are really interested in it. It would be a free webinar. It would be the repeat of my presentation that I did in Chicago, which is merchandising is storytelling and creating add-on sales by telling a story. So it'll be that. So send me a DM or an email and let me know. And please, if you can think of a space that you need help with in your store, please send me a DM or an email for a Show Me Your Store series. Again, please be patient with me, but if you keep it to one section and one problem that you have, I will give you the solution, and then you will have a 10-minute free Zoom call with me, and we can go over all of the things. And that's it. Thanks, you guys, so much for supporting the podcast. I can't thank you enough. It has been such a pleasure. We just hit our 2.5 year mark. We're over 50,000. I think we're 55 or 57,000 downloads. Every single show I go to, so many of you come out and say, thank you so much. You're learning so much from retailers. So thank you guys for the support and for showing me the love when you see me at the shows. I love hearing what you think. I love hearing what episode you liked or something, but it's been truly a pleasure. So thank you so much, guys. And I will see you soon.